Hi again and welcome to Zombie Tactics. You may have seen the video that I just put out, 3 seconds worth of me saying, I am John Galt. And you may have seen a number of people making videos where they simply say, I am John Galt. I know my buddy, the late Boy Scout, did one, and a few of the other people who are sort of gun gear, constitutionalist, freedom-loving American types. So that begs the question, who is John Galt? And that's the central question I'm going to talk to you about today in light of a new movie that's coming out. We're big readers here around the Zombie Tactics household. That's both because I read very early as a child at a high grade level. I'm not bragging there, that just happens to be the case. And I've been a voracious reader for a lifetime. It also happens to be because I'm married to a very intelligent woman with multiple degrees, the most notable of which is a degree in philosophy. So we like our books around here, we like our ideas, and there's a lot of intellectual stimulation around this household, let me tell you. I'm gonna roll in some titles and some shots of shelves in our library just to kind of show you the broad range of material that we go through. Science fiction, apocalyptic fiction, popular scientific type of titles, horror novels, thrillers, philosophy, history, religion, politics, classic works of fiction, all of that good stuff. And just as I'm talking, you'll see some of that. As an aside, it's important to note that just because you see a title on the shelf, don't make the mistake that some people do, that because they see a book in your hand or a book on your bookshelf, that you're an adherent to some position. I've read People's History of the United States, and I think Howard Zinn is a crackpot. Thank you very much. I've read Mein Kampf once and a half times. I guarantee you I'm not a Nazi, nor do I have any Nazi sympathies. I've read Das Kapital and selected works of Marx and Engels over the years many times, and I have no intentions of ever being a communist or holding to communist ideas about politics and economics. So, keep in mind that there are some books you read because you want to be exposed to ideas, because you want to have an opinion, but you want to have an informed opinion about something. It's not at all an accident that many of the titles on our shelves are contradictory to each other. You'll see a couple pictures here of books that contradict each other that we have, and I think that's a great way to approach any subject. Okay, in that context, here's a book that I mostly agree with about the subjects that it covers and what it has to say about them. Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Now, Atlas Shrugged is probably, regardless of what else you think of it, it's an important book. It's a novel full of all kinds of ideas about politics, economics, the role of people in society, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and why. Whether or not I agree with everything in here or not is not the question. Right off the bat, I'll tell you that Ayn Rand was an atheist. I'm not. That doesn't mean we're going to disagree on everything, but it means we'll disagree on that, and it may affect what we think about other things as well. Why am I discussing this? Well, we're at a time in the history of the United States where a lot of people, you may have even seen bumper stickers that say things like, well, Atlas is shrugging, or is it time for Atlas to start shrugging? This is the book they're referring to if you've never been, familiar with that phrase before. If you read this book, and it's a big book, it's, this is the 35th anniversary edition, and it's well over 1,200 pages. There's a lot of material on there, and I think it's a pretty good read and kind of an exciting and interesting read. It's a little dry as fiction goes, maybe not as, nail-biting on the edge of your seat as perhaps Dean Koontz stuff would be, but interesting and entertaining nonetheless. That's another reason to read the book. But if you don't read the book, or you don't have the time to read the book, April 15th, finally, the much-awaited movie Atlas Shrugged is going to be released to the public. It's opening in 300 theaters, and I'm hoping personally that it's a big hit. and that it expands to wider distribution. You ought to see the movie. This is a big enough book that actually the movie that's coming out isn't the whole book. It's just part one. It's going to be a multi-part movie, similar to like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or the way that they're doing the, I don't know what, the Narnia Chronicles, the Chronicles of Narnia, that kind of thing. It's going to take more than one movie to go through this book, with good reason. Lots of ideas, lots of things happening in this book, and you got to get it right, and all indications are that they're doing a pretty good job. I recommend you see the movie, and you're going to see the movie, I recommend, because there are important ideas and important attitudes and notions that you're going to see in this movie that you probably haven't seen anywhere else in the major media, certainly not in entertainment vehicles. You know, I think a lot, and I can't count on my hands, a single hand, where I've seen a movie where a business person, particularly a rich big business person or an industrialist, somebody who owns a steel mill or a railroad or a power company or anything like that, is ever portrayed in the media as anything but an evil, money-grubbing spider who will do whatever to get money. He'll lie, he'll cheat, he'll steal, he'll do whatever. You know, the classic version of that is perhaps Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street and its sequel. But that's an image that you see over and over. And there are other people who are always seen as the good guys, you know, the politician who just wants to help people. And these are views that are fed to you over and over in the media, and you never see a countering view. You will see a different view of reality in Atlas Shrugged, and one that I believe is probably closer to the way people really are. It's closer to the way I observe people, and I know some very rich people and industrialists and stuff like that, and I know some politicians, and I see how they are behind the scenes, and I see what their motivations are. It is important for you to expose yourself to these ideas, which is part of what ZombieTactics is all about, taking a look at things and making sure that you have an informed opinion about something before you reach a decision about what you're going to think about it. Please go see Atlas Shrugged. I think you'll enjoy it. Whether or not you necessarily agree with everything in the movie, it's going to make some fascinating conversations over the coming weeks with you and your friends, and perhaps that's worth the price of admission alone. I mean, you know, did you really get any great points of discussion out of the last sequel of Toy Story? So to feed your mind and to feed your opinion and to perhaps get a different perspective on the events of the day, which Atlas Shrugged seems to bear on in a rather prophetic manner, being that it was written in 1957, I think. Go see the movie, and then maybe turn right around and read the book. It's worth your time, and that's a ZombieTactics recommendation for you today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.